Well, hello, fellow ramblers, and welcome. Good evening. This is I don't know. It's auspicious purely for the number, but it is. This is episode 50. We've done 50 of these, or we will have done 50 of these by the end of this evening. So, as always, let me know how the volume is, or if the audio is good. A little bit of bouncing there. Let me know if the volume is working properly, if you can hear me, and it's good to be here. Had a wonderful and relaxing day, Labor Day. Went on a nice ride with some friends up into southern Michigan, and just very relaxing indeed. As always, if this is your first time to the Ramblestream, tell us, make a comment. I'm the only one, at least until we get a guest on here, I'm the only one who can talk and have audio and video, but you all have the ability to make a comment if you're on YouTube or if you're viewing on Facebook. So I encourage all of you all to do so. I know that there are more people on here on the stream live every week than comment. And so I would encourage you, this is not something where you have to make some sort of incredibly intelligent comment or question. I'll even give you a cue, which is that you should tell us your name or your online handle, where you're viewing the Ramblestream from, and what you ride. It doesn't have to be a Janus motorcycle. If it is a Janus, however, tell us what the model and serial number are. If it's not a Janus, tell us a little bit about it. If it's a machine for rambling, tell us about it. We'd love to hear. And last but not least, did I already say it? Tell us what you are sipping on. So I will go ahead and get started. Richard Worsham. I am the founder and lead designer here at Janus Motorcycles, which means that I am in Goshen, Indiana. I'm down at our fabrication shop, which we call TT. I ride the bikes that are in my garage. I ride a Janus Halcyon 250, number 68, and a Kawasaki KLR, an 09 Kawasaki, so it's a Gen 2 KLR 650, and both of those I would describe as rambling machines if there ever were any. And this evening I'm sipping, as has been my recent habit, well, not recent. I've been doing it more recently, but it's a long time habit. Some Evan Williams and water. So, cheers to the 50th episode of the Ramblestream. It's good to have you all here. It's good to hang out with you all. This is a more casual stream. I'm hoping to kind of catch up. Last week, if y'all were on the stream, you may have known that I was running out of time. There was a lot of comments and we were having a great time. So I did not really get to any of the news and updates that I wanted to cover. So I'm just going to focus on that this evening. Of course, we now have, 5 seconds ago I looked and we had 30 people on. Now we have close to 50. So depending on how many of you all take my advice and give us and sign in and give us the sign off here, we'll get right to that. But don't let that keep me from the comments. I think that's what it seems like most of y'all enjoy is just hanging out and the banter is what I call it. That's on my list. I say agenda item 2, welcome, and then banter. And then that just keeps happening. So, all right. Well, we've done the welcome. I'm bantering, but let's look at some comments. First up, we got our first award goes to Rowan Rowan says, "Hey Richard, Rowan with Origin 1, checking in this time from Cookeville, Tennessee, sipping on genuine Southern sweet tea." So Rowan, you are forgive me if I'm incorrect, California, or I want to say, yes, I think you are. So what are you doing? Tell us what are you doing if I'm not mistaken, tell us what you're doing in Tennessee and why you're drinking Southern sweet tea, which I think I'm a Virginian, so I think it's more of a thing in the deeper South. We call ourselves Southerners in Virginia, but I think some actual further Southern states may laugh when we say that. But I just call it tea, iced tea. Of course it has sugar in it. And if you're really doing it upright, a little lemon, a little fresh squeezed lemon in there. So yeah, tell us what's going on. He says, maybe we'll get some more details. He says, first day in the last 5 without rain. The Origin one down. It wasn't too bad, but he's up now and running great. Oh, good. I think I remember hearing something about that. Dan says, Rowan, glad your bike is running. What was wrong with it? There we go. Yes, tell us what was wrong with it. Riggedy Alps, a friend of the stream, is on. He says, good evening, my Janus adventure of the week. I had someone record me while passing them on the highway, and then they followed me 15 miles to ask about Cheyenne. Halcyon 450, number 234. This is the new norm from now on. Well, Riggedy, tell us where you're, as always, and what you're sipping on, where you are and what you're sipping on. You've done the others. Kelly, howdy Ramblers, 450, 236 Choctaw. And I love how y'all are doing the bike names. Well done. He also has a Harley-Davidson 2013 Ultra, Harley-Davidson 2006 Heritage, and he's in the process of cooking homemade lasagna. Nice. And sipping an Orange Crush, as always. The notorious Orange Crush. Perry Ford is on. Good to see you, Perry. Slowly sipping on some Maker's Mark. Very nice. Going to class for the rest of the week in Lewisville, Texas, to hopefully become an MSF rider coach. Wow, fantastic. You know, over the years, I've considered that a number of times, and that would be a really fun thing to do if I had more time. Maybe it will be something in my future. There's few things that I can think of if you're really into riding a motorcycle that are as much as fun as sharing the joys of motorcycling with other people. And an MSF coach is a great way to do that. There are good MSF coaches. Most of them are good MSF coaches. But it's a great program. I went through the MSF class. I went through it later than I probably should have. Several years into riding, after I founded Janus Motorcycles, and learned a lot during that process. So you learn a great deal when you actually learn from their process of how to ride. So wonderful, congratulations, and I commend you for that. He says, been riding since 1969 and want to give back. All the best, Richard. Well, fantastic, Perry. That is a great way to do so. Scott Spence is on. Good evening, fellow ramblers and scramblers. Halcyon 250, 212, and Halcyon 450, 178 here from Elkhart, Indiana, just 20 minutes up the road, sipping on the infamous Captain Morgan and Coke. Yes, you are. And yes, it is. Joel Yanda, Old Man 1 from Kansas City, Halcyon 450, 218, and Griffin 450, number 1, drinking black coffee straight up. Good to see you, Joel. Very good to see you. Scott says, looking forward to hearing a little bit about the upcoming rally details. Yes, I hope I have some details for you other than just promoting it. Jim Bledsoe, good to see you, Jim. Halcyon 450, 163, Vic Vegas, and Little Rebel are sitting with a Yingling and celebrating Labor Day with my planter head on a pedestal in my front yard wearing a hard hat and goggles. Nice. Dan says, For anyone interested in my Sturgis trip, I posted about it on the forum and the Facebook page. Yes, you did, and I read it, and it was fantastic. So if anybody wants a great ramble log, ooh, there's a new term, ramble log. I like it. You can't make that into like vlogging, a ramble log. Yes, check out if you're on the Janus owners forum or on the Facebook page, Janus owners Facebook page. Dan did a wonderful Ramblers update on his trip. He rode his 450 from North Carolina all the way out to Sturgis and hung out with us, and then rode it all the way back. And it sounds like the return journey was as much fun as the way out. So thank you so much for doing that, Dan. I encourage all of y'all, tell us about your rides. Just today, I did a ride. The ramble we did, Jesse and Doug and I did today, was based on the Randall, who I don't know if he's on the stream, but he's a Janus owner, and he posted a ride update or a ramble log on our owners forum about going up to the Langley covered bridge. And I've been meaning to do it all summer. I think he posted it in June or July. And we went ahead and did it today based on his ride log. And so I encourage all of y'all, write them up. It's a great way. Talk about giving back. Perry, not maybe as big a way as becoming an MSF rider coach, but write a log of your rides. So I did when I was riding out in California this spring, up the Pacific coast from Los Angeles to Santa Cruz. One of the way that I did that was I just recorded a lot of video, and then rather than trying to narrate it while I was doing it, I based it off of the work of a English, and I guess you could call him an expat now because he's living in Douarnenez in France, but he's a sailor, a small boat sailor, dinghy sailor, president of the Dinghy Cruising Association, of which I'm a member. But he does videos on sailing a small boat, very influential on my rambling philosophy. If you're interested, his name is Roger Barnes. Just look up Roger Barnes Dinghy Cruising on YouTube, and it might be a rabbit hole you can't escape from. I certainly haven't yet, but he does a similar method but what I'm getting at is that he writes a script, and that's what I did after the trip. Is I sat down and I wrote out the kind of what right after I finished the ride, so that I was still in my mind, and it was a really wonderful experience because it helped me to sort of really remember and digest what I had gone through many years ago, almost 20 years ago. It's crazy to think. 19 years ago, I walked the Camino de Santiago across Spain, which is definitely rambling. Pilgrimage and rambling are very intertwined, the two concepts. And the Camino de Santiago is a medieval pilgrimage. And I did not, one of my friends who hiked with me, Caitlin, she journaled the whole thing. And I regret not doing that because I regret all the memories I have of it. It would be much richer if I had written them down. And even if it's just an afternoon ride, I would highly encourage you all to do as Dan has done and write up a ramble log. So yeah. Thank you, Dan. Straw Dog, it's on. Good to see you, Straw Dog. Hello, folks. Halcyon 250 was 769 in New Hampshire, needing to get out for a ride, waiting on the tourists to clear out of the area to be safe, sipping on a bottle of water. Well, if you're in New Hampshire, I used to go to school in New Hampshire, and I wrote a mock. We had a school paper, and I wrote I was the kind of non sequitur comedy writer for our paper, and I wrote one about the autumn leaves. Actually, I should read that. That would be a good one. I'm not sure it was a little salty, but it was about the leaves and how many people come visit New Hampshire to see the autumn leaves. And so you might want to get out now, Straw Dog, before it gets any worse, because the roads get packed. I remember from being up in southern New Hampshire. Pete Marino is on. Hello, Pete. 450 Halcyon 156, 250 Griffin 158, 450 Griffin number 6. Heading to Goshen from Kentucky tomorrow. We'll see ya tomorrow, Pete. If you don't know Pete, we just released last week a testimonial. Maybe it was a little over a week ago. Pete's testimonial. So, well, I mean, it's a bad word. I would just say his ramble log, a little introduction to who Pete is and the kind of riding he does. And I would highly encourage you to go see it. It's one of the most recent videos we put on YouTube. Pete's story is really cool. He has, what do you think, Pete? You're going to have over 45,000 by the time the rally starts, maybe more. He's got many thousands of miles on his 1.5-year-old Halcyon 450. He's a man who, we call him our mobile test lab. He is the test lab. He breaks all of our parts for us and tells us how to make them better. Steve Q, hello from Hurst, Texas. Good to see you, Steve. Riding Halcyon 250 number 988 and Halcyon 450 number 304, drinking root beer. Awesome. Cheers. Cheers, Steve. Ben Ferrer, hello from San Francisco. Halcyon 450 number 43, Poppy. Lovely. Good to see you. Dan says, Peter, are you drinking the long way round? The rally does start on the 13th, right? Ben Ferrer, Manhattan. Oh, nice. A little update. Pete says, heading back to New York from Goshen, but I will be back for the rally. That's right. See, Pete doesn't mess around. The long way around is definitely... That's right. Rowan says, hey, Dan, it's a long story. Been posting about it this week. Take a look. Tell you all about it. Pain in the behind, but it has worked out. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Rowan, and I'm glad it's worked out. If you're in Tennessee, are you going to be able to make it to the rally? Maybe I've heard that you are. Tell you all about it. Well, you should be at the rally, Rowan, if you're not. Keith Haywood's on. Halcyon 250 number 706 in New York, sipping Angel's Envy. Wow, nice. Very nice. Joel says, sound is good. Thank you, Joel. Really appreciate it. I always appreciate when you all tell me that. And I did look ahead to these comments when I was first signed on. So I've just caught up with the beginning of the show now. Russell Peters, hey, Russell. Detlef 86, 450 Owensboro, Kentucky, 1962 Norton Dominator, 886 SS, I can't read, 1971 Honda CB350, 1972 Honda CB500, 1978 Honda CB550, and he's drinking water. Awesome. Keith says, some of this week's rambling has been canoe paddling, I am assuming. That totally counts. Canoes are a wonderful way to ramble. You're just traveling different roads than you are on a motorcycle. Chris Sell, okay. I'm connecting a name here. Multifarious with Halcyon 250 number 1067, known as Kingfisher. Ooh, digging deep on that one. Y'all know the Latin name of kingfishers. You should look it up if you don't. He's in Nebraska drinking Coke Zero. Well done with the name of that bike. Fantastic. Charles Selman, hello. Hey, Charles. Chuck from San Francisco. Griffin 250 124, sipping a Lost Republic bourbon. Good to see you. Confed Yank. Hey, howdy from North Carolina. I got 100th anniversary Harley Davidson Road King, carbed bikes only for my life, and sipping off summer brand of Coke. Lol. Well, Confed Yank, we're all waiting on until you can get that Janus, whether it's used or new. And then next up, you need to come hang out at the rally because I want to spend some time with all of y'all. But that would be great. And you know what? If you don't have a Janus, just come to the rally anyway. Come on up, ride your Harley Davidson up here, and have some fun with us. Cold Truth. Tony. Currently living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have a 2016 Triumph Bonneville Thruxton R, and I want a Halcyon 450. Well, welcome to the stream called Truth. I've been through Albuquerque many times on Janus trips. I have to say the last time I was in Albuquerque, I did not have I had a good experience and a bad experience. My truck that I was driving got broken into, and they stole my tool roll with I had quite a collection of tools in there. I have since replaced it. They did not, however, steal any motorcycles or camera gear that I had with me. Thank goodness they didn't go in the back. But then I went up to a little coffee shop, and I wish I could remember the name of the coffee shop. It was in a thrift store. You might know it. And the guy who owned it was a huge Janus fan and a motorcyclist. So I do really like Albuquerque. Anyway, Scott Spence has also ride a 1974 Triumph Bonneville, fully restored to original condition. Nice. Jim Winters. Hey, Jim. Happy Monday from the Indiana Dunes. Griffin 450 number 3 soon. And I know you have another Janus there as well, a 450. He's enjoying an anti-hero IPA. Good. Looking forward to seeing you, I hope, Jim, at the rally. Sirius Blatt says, hey, Sirius Blatt's on. We got the UK dialing in. Hey, all. Jason in the north of England. Just sold my slow 650 infield for an even slower 500 infield. My fourth one. Can't get enough of the Ramblin' pace. Awesome. Well, it's very good to see him. Glad to see you back on the stream. Lo-Fi by nature. I recognize that name. Southwest Michigan. No Janus yet. Drinking cocoa. That's totally fine. Come by the shop and let us give you a tour. Test ride one. David Hyde is on. David from Patterson, New York, enjoying my Halcyon 250 number 387, sipping cheap Paisano red wine. Awesome. Gary Smith from East Lansing, Michigan, Halcyon 50 number 11, 250 number 79, 450 number 3, Phoenix 250 number 79, sipping on a Diet Dr. Pepper, and I know he's waiting on another Janus 450 that starts with a G. Kelly Chrisman out of Winchester, Virginia. That's right. Rowan says, yes, sir. Now I'm supposed to pronounce this differently. How was I supposed to pronounce this? NorCal? I can't remember. Tell me again, Rowan. Visiting my children and grandchildren, waiting on the owner's rally. There we go. Awesome. Very good. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks. A little less than 2 weeks, actually. Confetti Yank, is there any reason to not sip some iced tea? No, there is no reason not to sip some iced tea. I'm part of the South that tea is going to get you iced tea. Lol. Yeah, exactly. Roger Junt is on. Hey, Roger. Sturgis Road, South Dakota. Halcyon 250, number 1018, sipping water. I was lucky enough to be able to hang out with Roger and talk bikes for a while over at Bob Benstead's place when we were out in Sturgis. So good to see you on, Roger. Rowan says, hydro locked. So this is what went wrong with his bike. Hydro locked the engine with fuel. Vibration from hauling it on my truck. Had to do 2 oil changes to get the fuel contaminated oil cleaned out. So for those of you who don't know, hydro-locked means that the combustion chamber is full of a liquid that is non-compressible. And so you can't... Well, actually, I used to have a Kawasaki Continental... Was that what they're called? Yeah, Continental. No, sorry. Kawasaki Concourse. Continental would be a cool one, too. Kawasaki Concourse 1000. And it's they're fantastic. It's a sport touring motorcycle, 100 horsepower. That bike is fun. Shaft drive. Inline 4. But one of the things that can happen to one is if they get hydro-locked. Basically, and what happens is if the petcock is leaking or something and it fills up the pistons with fuel and you go to electric start it and one of them fires but one of them is hydro-locked, so it's non-compressible. And what that means is you can bend a conrod and it's not good. There's a lot of, not a lot, but if you find a Kawasaki Concourse that doesn't run, That's likely what happened. And I always had this fear in my mind whenever I started. I was like, I would always turn the petcock off, but it's not a good thing. The good thing is if you have a single cylinder motorcycle like a Janus, hydrolocking will not result in you bending the conrod because it just can't happen. It won't fire. It just won't start either, which is a bummer. So so probably some kind of the gasoline seeped past the rings, it sounds like, and got into the transmission case. That does not sound good at all. I'm glad we got it worked out, though, and please let us know. Well, you're going to be at the shop. We'll get you, if you need anything, we'll get you taken care of. Confetti Yank says, shows up for MSF and see Halcyon 250s. Shows up for MSF and see H250s. Huh? Well, one day we're going to get a deal with MSF and we'll supply them with Halcyon 250s. Man, wouldn't that be cool? Jeff Karen is on. Jeff Karen, Tampa, Florida. Halcyon 250, number 761, Royal Enfield Classic 350, and a glass of Rose d'Anjou. Just was at the Jack Kerouac House, St. Pete, where my wife was the guest poet. I read at the opening. Oh, man, fantastic. I was down in St. Pete, and I was thinking about you, Jeff, and I just did not have time to make all the connections. But I was in Clearwater when I met with Paul Tuttle, and a lot of stoplights. But speaking of poetry, let's, we're not going to read poetry, but we're going to do our literature moment. And this is just an excerpt from I can't do justice to this, but if y'all are, I have a much nicer edition of this at home, several actually, the first edition. But this is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm not even going to, it's a really amazing book. And if you're a rambler, you should read it. It's really good. But I'm going to read a portion of it that has been life-changing for me. It may not make a whole lot of sense out of context, but it's still beautiful. And that's the way we read poetry here, is without much commentary. So this is from a chapter. Do they even have chapters? They don't really have chapters. They don't. It tells you how much I read this. We're just going to start. He's on Earth, the little prince. He's traveled from his planet, his asteroid, and he's now on Earth, and he's learning about animals and humanity. So the little prince tamed the fox, and when the hour of his departure drew near, "Ah," said the fox, "I shall cry." "It is your own fault," said the little prince. "I never wished you any sort of harm, but you wanted me to tame you." "Yes, that is so," said the fox. "But now you're going to cry," said the little prince. "Yes, that is so," said the fox. "Then it has done you no good at all." "It has done me good," said the fox, "because of the color of the wheat fields." And then he added, "Go and look again at the roses. You will understand now that yours is unique in all the world. And then come back to say goodbye to me, and I will make you a present of a secret." The little prince went away to look again at the roses. "You are not at all like my rose," he said. "As yet you are nothing. No one has tamed you, and you have tamed no one. You are like my fox when I first knew him. He was only a fox like 100,000 other foxes, but I have made him my friend, and now he is unique in all the world." And the roses were very much embarrassed. "You are beautiful, but you are empty," he went on. One could not die for you. To be sure, an ordinary passerby would think that my rose looked just like you, the rose that belongs to me. But in herself alone, she is more important than all the hundreds of you other roses, because it is she that I have watered, because it is she that I have put under the glass globe, because it is she that I have sheltered behind the screen, because it is for her that I have killed the caterpillars, except the 2 or 3 that we saved to become butterflies. Because it is she that I have listened to when she grumbled or boasted, or even sometimes when she said nothing, because she is my rose. And he went back to meet the fox. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye," said the fox. And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. What is essential is invisible to the eye, the little prince repeated, so that he would be sure to remember. It is the time you have wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important. It is the time I have wasted for my rose, said the little prince, so that he would be sure to remember. Men have forgotten this truth, said the fox, but you must not forget it. You become responsible forever for what you have tamed. You are responsible for your rose. I am responsible for my rose, the little prince repeated, so that he would be sure to remember. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, an amazing man, pilot, fought for the French resistance as a pilot and was never seen. He was lost in his plane south of Marseille in the Mediterranean. Although they did find, washed up on the beach, his pocket watch. An amazing man. Or not his wristwatch. I think it was a wristwatch, actually. His pilot's watch. Which is why you should have it engraved. Darren Poynton. Hi, Richard. I'm watching from Melbourne, Australia. Any news of exports to Australia as yet? Not yet, but it's really good to have you on the stream. We're going to do it. We will figure out how to export. And Australia will be one of the top places. The UK and Australia. English speaking. It's not just because you're English speaking, but it helps with the rule of law. I mean, that sounds bad too. But it just, the language, these are our top places that we have interest. Canada, Australia, and Great Britain. We have a lot of interest. So those will be those are our prime targets. Charles McGahagan. Olaf from the Eastern Shore. Halcyon 250 number 454. Phoenix number 30. Soon Griffin 450 number 4. Glad I don't have to be intelligent on here. Let's keep the bar low. Awesome. Well, I'm not going to run out of time this evening. I will let the comments be the thing that I don't cover. I apologize, but I'm going to cover some of the news and events that we've been up to lately because I didn't get to it last week, and we're going to make sure we do this time around. So if you bear with me as I make the transition over to our slides, we'll do that. Let's see. Give it a second here. Here we go. All right. So, well, first up, let's just talk about the Griffin. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of y'all, I'm going to pull the comment down for now. Charles? Oh, you have backed up one item. Great. We have the second rendition of the Griffin 450 out. And I just wanted to share this with y'all. If you haven't seen these pictures, this is about 97% what the finished. You're not going to be able to recognize a whole lot of major differences between this and the production Griffin. We're so happy with it. I was able to ride it quite a bit out in Sturgis, and I haven't done a whole lot back here, as much back here as I need to, but I will be riding it more. Shown here with Dunlop 605, more aggressive dual sport tires. Right now we have some Shinko 705s on it, which I think are going to be a great road tire. That's actually what I run on my KLR. And I'll show you some pictures of the KLR today. We're one of the things we're working out right now is we're trying out a bunch of different tire options on it and figuring out what we're going to make stock. I think we're going to come out with a kind of like a universal basic tire for the stock option, and then we'll offer a number of upgrade tires, or you can buy your own tires. The Dunlop 605s would be probably as aggressive as I would go on it, unless you're planning on only riding this thing off-road. Those are still DOT tires. The Savas, or sorry, not Savas, the Shinkos are a really good dual sport tire, and that's what I'm running on my KLR. And I have to say I'm pretty pleased with them. They're not the best tire for gravel or certainly not mud, but it's a great compromise. And most of us, if you're riding a dual sport, find ourselves riding a lot more asphalt even to get to the gravel or the dirt than we think we are. So it's a nice compromise. But anyway, yeah, I'm so happy with how the bike turned out. It's got fantastic suspension. We're still finalizing last minute production details on this, but I'm really excited about it. If you're interested in learning more, give us a call. This is our newest model, and we're extremely happy with it. A couple more pictures. Side shot. Look at those exhausts. We've raised them a little bit. We've tightened up the wheelbase a little bit. What other changes on this bike? The fenders have the ridged support. The front suspension's been adjusted a little bit. Just overall, a lot of little tweaks to make this right where we want it. Oh, this little slot here, I don't know if you can see on the screen, this little slot, that's Charlie has engineered in a sight glass so you can see your oil level. So you don't need to use a dipstick. The oil filler is underneath the seat. So you remove the seat to get to the oil. But we're going to talk about Sturgis. I didn't get to do my trip log, ramble log, but here we are packing up. So the last two ramble streams ago, which was actually in July, I was telling you all that I was going to only be there for the second half of Sturgis. Well, the next day, my plans changed, and I left on a whim to go and spend the entire time out in Sturgis. Kind of traded places with Grant. So here we are loading up, getting ready to go. That's actually 68, getting ready to be loaded up into the trailer. We took 2 vans and a trailer. We had 11 bikes and a whole team. And we left the next morning after this load up. We left at about 5 a.m. and got all the way to Murdo, South Dakota. Here we are. Here we call them our long hairs. We have Kyle, whom some of you all may know. Mitch, our salesman, right in the middle there with his "All I Need Is a Full Tank of Gas" t-shirt. And Brent, our fender bender. All were with us. Here we are relaxing with some beverages at a little diner, fantastic little diner in Murdo, South Dakota, the Buffalo Restaurant and Bar. And this also happens to be where one of our star customers, Mr. I'm going to blank on the name, Tim. Tim took his Halcyon 250 all the way to Dead Horse, Alaska and back. If you've been to the shop, you'll probably recognize the picture. But anyway, he was like, "Oh, come on in." It was so cool to see him and see all his old trucks and cars out front. The Pioneer Museum is a really neat historic automobile museum is in Murdo, right next door to him. And he has a lot of neat stuff. But he goes, "I'll show you your room and look at the artwork." Beautiful little motel in Murdo, and it has Halcyon 450 and 250 artwork on the wall behind it. Really, really neat. It was so cool. That's one of his vehicles. He had several, and you can't really see it on the wall, but there's a picture of him up in Dead Horse with his Halcyon, Alaska. And here we are. And that's about 2 hours from Sturgis. We're setting up our booth in front of Lloyd's garage, getting all the bikes ready for demo rides. It was over 100 degrees, 105 degrees when we were there that first couple of days. Here we are at Bob's house. This is Bob. Many of you all will know Bob from the Ramblestream. He's on here frequently. That's Bob standing up in the yellow shirt on his back porch. He was very, very gracious and put us all up. Roger is on here, who's on the stream. Roger Junt is on here, and his wife, Charlie, some neighbors, and the whole Janus crew living in style in Sturgis, South Dakota. here we are. We went on a ride on Tuesday night, I believe. The first Monday or Tuesday, we went out and visited Spearfish Canyon, rode up to Spearfish. Beautiful. You cannot see it in the picture, but there are mountain goats up on the mountain behind. I don't know if you can see it where my mouse is, but there's a little mountain goat up there. We rode with Mark Long of the Driven to Ride podcast. If you're not familiar with that, I've been on that. We've posted it. Driven to Ride with Mark Long. It's fantastic. He's had Peter Egan on. He's had Robert Pandya on. He's had all kinds of fantastic guests on his podcast. And we spent a lot of time with Mark and had a really good time. Actually, Mark will be releasing a podcast tomorrow that I'm on, recapping Sturgis with some of the Buffalo Chip owners and a bunch of really neat people on that podcast. So I will share a link to that. There's 68. 68's been a lot of places. Then we entered, what bike did we enter in this show? We entered a 450 in a motorcycle show at Buffalo Chip. And I just had to show you this motorcycle fender. This is the fender, maybe something you recognize. This is by a fender that this custom builder put on their bike. They purchased from Joe Cooper, who is the guy who trained us in how to make our fenders, and trained Brent. So you may recognize that fender. Here we are with some of our customers. If you have seen the most recent video we posted, which was a ride video from Sturgis with Jordan and I, you may have noticed that we passed some Janus bikes. That was these folks, and they rode by us. It was just fortuitous that we zipped by them while we were going down Van Acre Canyon. We saw a lot of friends and Janus folks at the rally. This is a motorcycle show they had. This is a build by Brian Fuller, really neat R18 custom, Royal Enfield custom bike. Here we are, we're at the bare knuckle boxing match. I believe Connor, what is his name? I can't remember. Anyway, there were some big names that were there. Bare knuckle boxing with a bunch of Janus bikes lined up to view the show. There were some wild rides there. And Pete Marino showed up from he has a little teepee every year out at outside of Sturgis. And he would ride in and say hello and hang out with us for a while with his lovely high mileage orange 450. And then we fixed up some of the bikes with some little nameplates on the side halfway through the show and to advertise that we were there. 68 in front of the Buffalo Chip sign. At the Full Throttle Saloon with a Griffin 450 and a Janus 250. That is what is the name of that mountain? Butte. It's a butte. I'm totally going to forget. Bear Butte. Bear Butte is right outside of Sturgis, and it's a kind of a historically significant and it's very significant for the Native American population in the area. Bear Butte. You can see it for many, many miles away. This is where Jordan and I rode down for lunch on the video we shared with you all last week. We got lunch there, showed off the bikes. Then we went and rode down on a very harrowing experience to to Mount Rushmore, or Iron Mountain Road, which we were, how do I say this? We unwisely decided to ride too late in the evening, and we also did it in the middle of a thunderstorm. So we rode Iron Mountain Road in the dark in the middle of a thunderstorm, which if you're familiar with that road, you will know how unwise that was. But it's a twisty road over the mountains in a thunderstorm. So I didn't get to see much of Iron Mountain Road, but I sure experienced it. But right before we did that, we ran into this lovely old Indian at the pumping gas, and he loved our bikes. There's the needle on the Iron Mountain Pass, right before the thunderstorm hit. Next day, we entered another bike in the show. This was Mark, our CFO, Mark Zweig's lovely Halcyon 250. It took first place, beating out all the other competition in the 0 to 1,000 cc category, which there weren't a whole lot of bikes, but it was the Rat's Hole. It was kind of a Rat Fink motorcycle show with a lot of really neat bikes. First place in our class, so we did really well, and got to see some really cool builds. And I've been really inspired lately by looking at some of these choppers, and so maybe next week we'll dig into a little bit of what that means, but kind of been thinking about maybe what would a Halcyon chopper look like? I don't know. We'll see. Look at this one. Gorgeous with flat track tires on it. That almost looks like a Joe Cooper fender too, doesn't it? That one doesn't, but that one does. That beaded edge. And then there's some just wild ones. I mean, just not exactly my cup of tea, but certainly impressive endeavors. This is a Japanese guy who came in with his whole team from Japan. JB, J Custom, Jay's Bagger Custom. Wild. This one was, for one of those wacky giant big wheel baggers, kind of funky. All this aluminum work. A rat bike. More of the Janus. Some neat. Yeah, I was just really enjoying seeing all these custom bikes. Look at that. Kind of cool. Really cool. And then, of course, we had the Janus flat track bike. We were working late into the night. Read Dan Rademski's log. He got to witness some of it, trying to get this thing ready to race. There's Dan. Speaking of Dan, on his bike, getting ready to go out on a ride. Another owner from the area coming in to trade in his 250 for a 450. And here's the crew. This is the flat track crew with Bob Benstead. Flat track crew and Kyle. The last couple of days were just me and Kyle. And then Grant came in. And then the last couple of days, Blake and Jordan. Blake Wharton and Jordan Lake, our engine builder and racer, came in with the flat track bike. Oh, and Blake's fiance, soon to be bride. They're getting married. They would be at the owners rally, but they're getting married. But Jordan will be there at the owners rally. And there's the bike, all kitted out and almost ready to go. Unfortunately, we were not able to race, but we will be back. And then here we are, walking through the streets of Sturgis the night after, and it was all packed up. If you know Sturgis, you know how weird this looks with no bikes. And then here we are, Kyle and I getting ready to head back home very early on Monday morning, getting ready to ride back. And then we went to the Rider Rot show in Fort Wayne. If you're not familiar with Rider Rot is a show. It's our motorcycle show. It's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's in August. This year it was on the 18th, Sunday. It's a lovely show. We've been sponsors since day one, and this was the 10th anniversary show, and it was bigger and better. If you're in the Michigan, Southern Michigan, Eastern Ohio, Indiana area, I highly encourage you to come to this show. There are some great awards and a lot of really neat bikes. Check out this one. I think this bike, he was saying, puts out 230 something horsepower, and if he cranks the boost even more, supercharged Kawasaki ZRX 1100, incredible bike with a giant drag bars off the back, dual engine Triumph drag bike or speed bike with its starter motor next to it. Some classic. Fort Wayne is known for its small Hondas, lovely little Honda bikes here, cafe racers. BMWs. This is a Janus owner, but he decided this day to ride it on his old Vespa. Beautiful old Vespa. I almost feel like I recognize that Vespa. Huh. Interesting. I may recognize that one. I may have ridden that one. Pure class here. And you can check out the venue. Really neat venue. 2 strokes. Some choppers. I'm really getting into learning more about choppers. Some great little other vehicles around. Got to do a little presentation on the Griffin. And then somebody was on the last stream was talking about their Moto Guzzi Eldorado. Well, this one takes the cake, right? Look at this thing. This is the Moto Guzzi Eldorado. Look at those vintage Brembo brakes. Awesome. So cool. Another Jordan with his, this is an impeccable CB450 for just impeccable build. And the last thing I'll cover is, well, not the last thing, but last event was I went down to visit Paul Tuttle Sr. of Orange County Choppers fame, his OCC Roadhouse here. And I got to check out some of his choppers, which I probably won't be going in quite this direction if I'm interested in making a chopper, but certainly got to see the most famous ones. With the AR-15 on the back. This is a fire engine one. They're something, aren't they? The Santa Claus one takes the cake, though. Whew, crazy. Got to ride 68 down in Florida. This is rode down and got a meal at Caddy's on the beach. And here we are on the set for Orange County Chopper. I'm not sure what the actual name of the show is, but it's with Paul Tuttle. I got to see reality TV in the making. He's building some new choppers here. Here he is walking in the door with Rick, his assistant, who's an incredible guy in his own right. Got to hang out with him and talk vintage Harley bikes. He flat tracks some old vintage Harleys. Really cool dude. Got to see him working on the bikes. And then got to sit down and talk with Paul for quite some time. I don't know if they really budgeted the amount of time that we ended up talking on the show, but Paul was really interested and really, I thought I would have to go in there all macho and do I need to cut the sleeves off my shirt for this? But lo and behold, I rolled the bike in and he was just captivated. And we had the most awesome time talking motorcycles, talking about what we're doing, why we're doing it differently. Here I am riding in a 450 for him to look at, put up on the stand, and we just had a blast. And then he said he wanted to see, this was not scripted. He's like, well, you got any more of these? Or I forget how it happened. I was like, well, I've got my 250. You want to see that? And so I brought Halcyon 250 number 68 in, and they loved how beat up it is. There's missing the pinstripes kind of chipped on it. It's been used and abused, but we had a blast looking over the bike and filming a really neat, fun episode. This is another Sean. He's from Rhode Island. Brought in a custom big wheel bagger. I think that they call this style of motorcycle with the speakers. He was really fun to hang out with. And then I got to ride with Paul. And we had a really good time. He loved it. He loved the 450. And we had a really good time. We rode around in some of the neighborhoods around, they did some video work with us, but then we just rode around a bit. And I had a really, really pleasant time with him. And I think the episode will be airing in February. And we'll be posting more information on what the name of the show is and when the episode will be airing. So, and then last but not least, today went on a great ride. I mentioned that Randall on the Owners Forum posted a ramble log, going up to the Langley covered bridge. And so this was me today, this afternoon. Went up with some buddies. We rode up to the covered bridge. We were not riding Janus's. I'll be quite honest. That's why you're more than welcome to tell us if you don't have a Janus and what you ride. We're riding a bunch of old dual sports. 2 DR 650s and my red KLR 650. It's totally a rambling machine. We hit a bunch of dirt roads. We hit a bunch of asphalt, and just had a lovely time putzing around, having fun. Next time, maybe for the rally, we'll go up there. This was kind of a pseudo scouting route for rally, the long ride for the rally, which I always organize and lead. So if you're coming to the rally, this might be a destination, but we'll see. It's about 30. It's a long ride, 30 to 40 miles from Goshen. So, round trip. That's a long. We did a circuitous route, and I think I covered. My odometer said about 92 miles by the time we got back. It was about a 3-hour jaunt, ramble. So we had a really, really good time. And I'm going to leave it at that for the updates. We managed to cover it. 7:56. We have over 50 people on. It's been great. I will just remind you all that we have our owners rally coming up in just less than 2 weeks, and it will be on the 13th through 15th of September. We got a really great program for you all. We got live music, we got food, we got rides, we're going to do a Ramblestream. We're going to do a Ramblestream not on a Monday night. It'll be a Saturday morning live stream with anyone who wants to be on the stream. If you're at the rally, we'll be broadcasting live with me and a bunch of other Janus owners and ramblers. And so make sure to put that on your calendars. I'll be posting the link to that soon so that we can kind of promote that. It'll probably be, 10, 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. That should be the 14th, I think, of next month, or this month. Today's the 2nd. It'll be a very different Ramble stream. I will probably not be doing a Ramble stream that Monday. I'll be resting from the rally, but we'll get that one in. Discovery Days, we have one on the 28th of this month, and then we have one on the 19th. So if you want to check out a Janus and you only have a weekend to do it, come up for one of those Discovery Days. They're available on our website. And last of all, I will say that our Rambler watch is, I think at this point, it is now for sale to the general public. I designed a watch with the folks at Laurier Watches. It's designed for rambling. Actually, tonight I do not have it on. Tonight I'm wearing, here's a great budget watch. So you can see this one. Oh, let's go back to the main screen. Well, you look at it upside down. This is looks like it looks like it is a fantastic diver's watch. There are divers that actually use this, but it costs about $50. It's made by Casio. It's a quartz movement, fantastic. But this would be what you call a big bezel. This is, I think, 43 millimeters. So our little Rambler is a much smaller, more traditional. I would describe it as sort of like an Indiana Jones 1940s, 50s sized watch. And it will be probably selling it pretty soon. So go ahead and check out our website under the Rambler's Corner if you're interested in buying one of those. It's designed for rambling. It says on the back, designed in collaboration with Janus Motorcycles. I have not gotten through all the comments, but we have a couple of seconds left. I'll go ahead and wrap those up. But it's been wonderful to hang out with you all, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. Perry Justin says hello from Fort Worth, Texas. Finally cooler weather today from riding Oliver Hazard Halcyon 250 884. Enjoyed the recent Sturgis video. We'll make it one day. Awesome. Mitch, Halcyon 1116 from Nashville, sipping on Crown and Coke. Cheers. Good to see you, Mitch. Felix Brothers, 450, 120, and 121, sipping on some Two Hearted. Looking forward to the rally. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Tom Kimball's on, eating from Colorado, sipping on Rocky Mountain spring water with my Halcyon 450, 192, call sign Chief, Master Sergeant, and my Indian Scout in garage, wearing my new Rambler watch. Awesome. Fantastic, Tom. Way to go. Nice segue. Harrison Monick, Halcyon 450, number 318, Richmond, Virginia. Liquid Death. Awesome. My hometown. Confetti Yank, Ramblog, logging ramblings about rambling. You got it, man. Rowan, I've been posting every day while on the road. You could also check out my rides and adventures while crossing the country. I need to check this out. Tell us where we can find these. Are they on the... I haven't checked the owners forum recently, so I'll check there first. Jeff Blind's on, Halcyon 250, number 87. I just saw your bike out in the Fab Room, Jeff. Good to see you. Nice ramble Saturday at the Janus Disco Days. Rode 450 86 with hopefully, soon to be a few Janus Ramblers. Great group, fellas. Awesome. Riggedy Alp says, besides Cheyenne, I have a 95th anniversary Wide Glide Spirit and an unnamed e-bike. We just took the e-bikes to Lake Champlain, Vermont, and rode the Island Rail Trail. Drink tonight, Polar Seltzer. Awesome. Kelly says, Mitch, are you out of Winchester? Pete Marino says, 47,000 now. Awesome. That's 47,000 miles on a 2023 Halcyon 450. Roomy Contractor. I used to own a Harley for the longest time and then went back to cafe racers. Have a Royal Enfield 650. How does your 450 compare to a stock cafe racer? I don't know. It depends. It's lighter, a lot lighter weight than a Royal Enfield, and they are a lot of fun. But they're similar to a more of a, like if you like Royal Enfields, they're more, I think you would appreciate them. Jeff says, no name for 87 yet. We'll name after custom work is done. Nice. Big changes to come. Yeah, Jeff and I are going to be, talk about choppers. He's going to be, I volunteered him to help me on, although I think he's very interested in if I build a chopper. Confetti says, I wish I can make it to the rally. I'm still in search of a job. Lol. Be great to check out some Jani in person. Awesome. Halcyon. Confetti, I do like Halcyon. Wouldn't mind a Phoenix 450 though. Nice. Oh, and Jeff is sipping on Mountain Dew. Bob Benstead is on. Great. Good to see you, Bob. Sturgis, South Dakota, Halcyon 450 number 230. Just got back home from having supper with some friends. Awesome. Well, maybe you caught the part where we showed your back porch. Jeff Curran, maybe you would consider a video call sometime to my wife's university writing class, especially because of your focus on literature, architecture, and the world. Just a thought. Well, hey, man, get a hold of me. I'd love to, anything. I'm always interested. Richard at janusmotorcycles.com. Oh, one thing, man, those of y'all, this is a treat for those of y'all that stick around to the end. I created Ray emailed me, and Ray, if you're on, my apologies for not finalizing this, but if you want to be a guest on the Ramblestream, I'm really looking forward to bringing more people on. I created a Google form. It's in the description for the video right now. You can go click it. And basically it's basically like, what's your name, handle, bike, and number. What are you sipping on? No. And what you want to talk about on the Ramblestream. And I would love it if I'm going to have to do it one at a time, but if you're interested in being on the Ramblestream, click that link and tell me so, and I will get your submission. And I would love to have you join me on here, because we'll talk rambling. So yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. But you can also just send me an email. Confetti Yank says, oh, I meant to see if Sean from Bikes and Beards and Paul Tuttle are going to have that build off. I think that, didn't they have some kind of beef? I don't know. I heard something about it recently. Dan says, Tom Kimball, love your book. If you're going to the rally, I'll bring it for you to autograph. Awesome. Yes, Tom does have a good book. Dan says, Saint-Exupéry, Wind, Sand, and Stars is one of my all-time favorites. So Saint-Exupéry was who wrote The Little Prince. He also wrote some other. Night Flight was one of the books he wrote, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Wind, Sand, and Stars is one of my all-time favorites. His demise turned out to be truly tragic. The German fighter pilot who shot him down was inspired to fly because of his books. Yes, he maybe 10 years ago, he confessed to being the guy who shot down Antoine Exupéry. He was very sad because he was inspired to fly by him. It's just, what a poetic existence. Mick Langford, late to the party, Winchester, Virginia, just parked Hank, 1093, sipping Diet Coke. Confetti Yank says, my brother got pocket watch that had initial engraved for my dad. Awesome. Yeah. Tom says, thanks, Dan Radimski. Sounds like you have a book or two in you. Would love to sign your book. On location the weekend of the rally, unfortunately. But happy to send you one. On location the weekend of the rally, unfortunately, but happy to send you one. James Dean says, hello, fellow Ramblers. Halcyon 250 here. Love this thing. Awesome. Confetti says, funny is I never been to Sturgis with all the bikes there. Kelly says, Mick, I'm in Winchester also. Jim 240 loves it. Confed Yank says, I feel you. I should do a chopper build. Well, I'm thinking about it, folks. We might document that here on the Ramblestream. Alan says, do you still make the Phoenix? We do not still make the Phoenix, although we're pondering making a new one. Confed Yank says, tickets sold out? Nope, not sold out yet. Come on, sign up now. Kelly Christmas, for the owner's rally, that is. Kelly says, adios, amigos. See you next week. Yes, see you all next week. I'm at the end of my comments here, except we have Ryan Allen Imboden. He says, I've been following Janus motorcycles since 2014 and have always admired the craftsmanship, vintage style of these bikes. I never thought that I would actually ride someday. This past year, I've acquired my motorcycle permit and a small 127cc Chinese motorcycle called Boomcat BD125-2. I wanted something small to learn on, and now that I'm familiar with scooting around on it, I've been extremely interested with purchasing a Halcyon 250. My wife and I are looking forward to making the 5-hour, I'm assuming, trip. Ryan, we welcome you. This sounds like you sound like a perfect rambler. Welcome to the stream, and I'd love to have you out. So let's make it happen. Get a hold of me, Richard at Janus Motorcycles, or just call the shop and get a hold of Mitch or Justin. And we're not pushy. We'll just tell you about it. And if you just want to ask questions, that's fine too. Charles says, Alan, no, they don't. Yeah, about the Phoenix. Cheers. All right. Well, we ran over a little bit, but we still have 50 people on the stream. It's wonderful to see you all. Thank you all for joining this Ramble stream this evening, and I will catch you all next week. Till then, adieu.